All right, so you want to create an instructional design plan, but not just any plan. You want to make it excellent. You want to blow their socks off, right?
Absolutely.
Well, in this deep dive, we're diving into your secret weapons. That's the Instructional Design Plan, template, and rubric.
That's right.
We're going to be your guide through these documents, highlighting what really matters, so you can use these to make the best instructional design plan.
Yeah, I've seen so many people get overwhelmed by these types of documents. They think they are just bureaucratic hoops to jump through, but they are not. Honestly, they're like a treasure map. If you know how to read them, they can lead you straight to buried treasure.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So to be clear, the documents we'll be looking at today are the Template 3 Instructional Design Plan Spring 2025 and the Rubric Instructional Design Plan Spring 2025. Those are our guides for today, so no more staring at a blank page, right?
Exactly. And the first thing I want to do is I want you to grab that template and flip to the introduction section. Now, it might seem basic, but this is where you really set the stage.
Okay, so more than just like, hey, I'm making a training, right?
Way more. This is your chance to hook the reader, like the opening scene of a movie. Imagine you're pitching this to a studio exec. They need to be captivated.
Oh, I can see myself in a power suit already. So what's the secret sauce? How do we make a killer introduction?
There's two things. First, you need to make it crystal clear why this training is even necessary. Don't just state the topic. Paint a picture of the problem you are solving. Maybe share a shocking statistic or a real-world story. That illustrates the need.
Got it. So show the impact, not just the idea. What's the second ingredient?
You need to connect the dots. Your introduction needs to explicitly link this training back to the needs and objectives that you uncovered in your analysis. It's all about showing this plan, that it isn't just a random idea, it's a laser-focused solution to a very specific problem.
I see. So it's all about context. It's about making the reader go, I see why this is crucial.
Precisely. Now let's move on to the Learning Objectives Refinement section. This is where we take your goals from May to magnificent.
Okay, time to make those objectives sing. The template talks about going from good to smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But sometimes acronyms like that just make my eyes glaze over.
I hear you. Think of SMART objectives as like a GPS for your learners. They need to be clear, trackable, realistic, and aligned with the overall destination. If any of those elements are missing, you're sending your learners on a wild goose chase.
Okay, starting to get the picture. But can you give me an example of a SMART objective versus one that's just wandering around aimlessly?
Absolutely. Let's say you're designing a training on conflict resolution for managers. A good objective might be improve managers' communication skills, but that's super vague, right? Where's the endpoint? How do we even measure improvement?
Yeah, it's like saying, go explore the wilderness, but not giving them a map or compass.
Exactly. Now, a SMART version of that objective would be, by the end of this, training managers will be able to effectively mediate a conflict between two team members using a 5-step process, resulting in a documented agreement signed by both parties within a 30-minute time frame.
Wow, night and day. Now that's a destination I can get behind. And I bet those managers would feel way more confident knowing exactly what they're aiming for.
Right. And remember, every single activity and piece of content in your plan should be pointing those learners towards those SMART objectives, like little arrows on that GPS map.
Okay, so we've got a captivating introduction that sets the stage and SMART objectives that are going to guide our learners. What's next on our journey through this template?
Now it's time to get creative. Let's flip to the selection of instructional methods section. This is where you choose the tools and techniques that will bring your training to life.
Ooh, time to unleash my inner teaching artist. Now, the template actually cautions against falling into the lecture trap, right?
It does, and for good reason. People learn best through active engagement, not passive listening. Think about it. Would you rather sit through a 2-hour lecture on baking or actually get your hands dirty and knead some dough?
Definitely team dough. So what are some alternative methods that we can explore?
The possibilities are endless. You could incorporate case studies, group discussions, role-playing activities, simulations, even gamification techniques. The template even suggests that you brainstorm methods based on the specific skills and knowledge you want your learners to acquire.
I'm already picturing a training where people are building things, solving puzzles, collaborating. It's like learning became an escape room.
I love that. And remember, you're not limited to just one method. You can create a blended learning experience that combines the best of different worlds.
Speaking of different worlds, technology is a huge part of learning these days. How does the template guide us on that front?
Flip to the technology integration section. This is where you detail how technology will enhance your training, not just be a shiny add-on.
Okay, so it's about making tech a strategic partner, not just inviting it to the party for looks.
Exactly. Think about tools like learning management systems, or LMS for delivering content and tracking progress, simulation software for practicing skills in a safe environment, or video conferencing platforms for interactive discussions.
Yeah, and the template actually gives some cool examples, like using an LMS to release content in chunks, or incorporating quizzes and interactive exercises, and to keep learners on their toes.
It does. And it also reminds us to choose technologies that align with our learning objectives and the needs of our learners. There's no point in using fancy VR simulations if it's going to overwhelm your audience or distract from the core learning goals.
Right, it's like choosing the right spices for a dish. You don't want to overpower the flavor.
Ah,
So we've got our engaging methods and our tech that boosts the learning experience. What's next on our template adventure?
now we need to organize all this amazing content into a clear and coherent plan. That's where the content outline section comes in.
Okay, this feels like we are creating the blueprint for our training. How do we make sure it's a masterpiece and not a jumbled mess?
First, remember those SMART objectives we talked about. They are your guiding stars. Every module, every topic, every activity needs to be aligned with those objectives, leading learners step by step towards mastery.
Right, and the template actually gives us a sneak peek at a well-structured outline. It's the module examples. I love how it breaks down these complex topics into bite-sized chunks. It's like building a sturdy staircase, leading learners step by step towards mastery.
Exactly. And notice how each module has a clear title. That summarizes the key takeaway. It's like a mini promise to the learner, telling them what they'll gain from that section.
So instead of just saying Module 1, Customer Service,
No,
we might say Module 1, Mastering the Art of Customer Delight.
you got it. And within each module, you'll want to break down the content into specific topics, creating a logical flow that builds upon previous knowledge.
It's like crafting a story with each topic as a chapter that moves the plot forward, but a story that teaches valuable skills.
I love that analogy. And the rubric reinforces the importance of a well-structured outline. It's actually a key criterion for evaluation, meaning it can make or break your score.
Okay, pressure's on, but also feeling way more confident, knowing we have this awesome template as our guide. So we've got our content, mapped out our methods, and tech chosen. What's the next crucial step in the template?
Now, before we unleash this training on the world, we need to do a test drive. That's where the pilot test and feedback section comes in.
Ah, yes, the dress rehearsal before the big show.
Yeah.
Why is this step so important?
Think of it like this. You wouldn't launch a new product without testing it first, right? You would want to get feedback from real users to make sure it's functional, intuitive, and meets their needs. Same goes for your training.
Yeah, and the rubric really emphasizes the importance of pilot testing. It lists it as a specific criterion for evaluation. So what are the key elements of a killer pilot test plan?
First, you need to choose the right pilot group. It should be a representative sample of your target audience, ensuring you get diverse perspectives and feedback. The template suggests outlining specific criteria for selecting participants, like their job roles, experience levels, or learning preferences.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We want feedback that reflects the real world, not just our own ideas. What else do we need to consider?
You need a clear timeline and process for gathering feedback. The template recommends establishing a schedule for implementation, outlining how you'll collect feedback through surveys, interviews, or focus groups. And don't forget to plan how you'll analyze and use that feedback to make those final tweaks before the official launch.
So this is like having a secret weapon. We get to fine-tune our training based on real user feedback before it goes live. No wonder the rubric puts so much emphasis on this.
Exactly. And remember, the template and rubric aren't meant to be restrictive. They're your allies in creating a truly exceptional instructional design plan.
Okay, feeling pumped and ready to rock this plan.
Sure.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from crafting a captivating introduction to choosing the right tech and gathering valuable feedback. It's like we've assembled the building blocks for a truly impactful learning experience.
We have. And we've only just begun to scratch the surface of what these documents can teach us. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll unlock even more secrets of the instructional design rubric, revealing those hidden gems that can elevate your plan to a whole new level of excellence.
Welcome back, instructional design superstars. We are about to crack open the rubric and reveal the secrets to scoring those excellent marks on your plan.
Yeah, think of it like this. The template gave us the blueprint for a beautiful house, and now the rubric's going to show us how to decorate it to perfection. We're talking interior design level attention to detail here.
Ooh, I'm already picturing those stylish throw pillows and strategically placed plants.
Okay, so how does the rubric actually help us decorate? Refine our instructional design plan?
Well, it breaks down the essential elements. into very specific criteria and scoring levels. It's like a judging panel for a design competition. They're looking for certain qualities that signal mastery. So it's not just about following the steps in the template. It's about doing each step with a level of finesse. That really wows the judges, the evaluators.
Precisely. Let's start with that captivating introduction we crafted in part 1. The rubric goes beyond just saying, make it engaging. It highlights the importance of demonstrating a deep understanding of your target audience.
Right. We talked about grabbing attention, but it's really about grabbing the right attention. It's like tailoring a suit. It needs to fit the person perfectly.
Exactly. Imagine you're designing a training on project management, but one is for seasoned project managers and the other is for brand new team leads. Your introductions would need to hit very different notes.
Yeah, for the experienced folks, you might highlight advanced strategies and industry trends. But for the newbies, you'd probably focus on foundational concepts and building confidence.
Exactly. The rubric wants to see that you've really considered the background, the needs and motivations of your learners. It's like a psychological profile that informs your entire design approach.
Okay, audience analysis check. Let's move on to those all-important objectives. We already know they need to be smart. But what else does the rubric reveal?
It emphasizes alignment. Your objectives need to be laser-focused on the outcomes of your needs analysis. It's all about demonstrating a clear line of sight between the problem you are solving and the skills that your learners will gain.
So if my needs analysis revealed that employees are struggling to collaborate effectively, my objectives need to target those specific collaboration skills.
Right. And the rubric encourages us to think beyond just knowledge acquisition. It wants to see objectives that are actionable and measurable, describing behaviors that can be observed and evaluated.
So instead of saying learners will understand teamwork principles, we'd say something like, learners will demonstrate effective communication and problem-solving skills during a simulated team project.
You got it. The rubric loves that level of specificity and measurability. It shows that you've thought through how you'll actually assess whether those objectives have been met.
Okay, our objectives are sharp and aligned. Let's move on to the selection of instructional methods section. We brainstormed some awesome ideas in part 1. But how does the rubric guide us towards making the best choices?
It's all about justification and alignment. The rubric wants to see a clear rationale behind each method you select, and it needs to connect back to those learning objectives.
So we can't just throw in a bunch of fun activities or trendy tech tools. Each choice needs to serve a purpose, like a carefully chosen ingredient in a recipe.
Precisely. If your objective is to improve presentation skills, then incorporating role-playing activities, feedback sessions, and maybe even video recording makes a lot of sense. But if your goal is to build technical knowledge, a lecture combined with hands-on practice might be more appropriate.
Right, it's about matching the method to the objective, not just picking what sounds fun or what looks fancy.
Right. And the rubric encourages us to consider the learning environment and the characteristics of our audience.
Yeah, so if we're training a group of remote employees, incorporating virtual collaboration tools and asynchronous learning activities would make a lot of sense. But if we were working with a group of kinesthetic learners, hands-on activities and simulations would be more effective.
Exactly. It's all about tailoring our approach to the unique needs of our learners. Now let's talk about the tech elephant in the room, technology integration. The rubric goes beyond just saying use technology wisely. It hints at a deeper level of consideration, accessibility and inclusivity.
Oh, that's a crucial point. We need to make sure our tech choices don't inadvertently create barriers for certain learners.
Right. If we are using a video conferencing platform, we need to consider learners with hearing impairments and provide captions or transcripts. If we are using complex software, we might need to offer additional support for learners who are less tech savvy.
It's about creating a learning experience that welcomes and embraces everyone, regardless of their abilities or background.
Exactly. And the rubric also encourages us to think about how technology can enhance engagement and facilitate deeper learning.
Yeah, so instead of just using an LMS to deliver static content, we might incorporate interactive quizzes, gamification elements, or even virtual reality simulations to create a more immersive experience.
I love that. Now let's shift our focus to the content outline section. The rubric emphasizes the importance of a well-structured and detailed outline. It's like the skeleton of our training, holding everything together.
Right, we talked about aligning our content with those SMART objectives. But what else does the rubric reveal?
Well, it wants to see a logical flow and a depth of detail. That demonstrates a thorough understanding of the subject matter. Each module should build upon the previous one, creating a seamless learning journey.
So instead of just listing generic topics, we need to break down each module into specific subtopics, almost like mini lessons within each module.
Exactly. And the rubric emphasizes the importance of providing clear and concise descriptions of each topic, so learners know exactly what they will be learning.
It's like giving them a sneak peek into each chapter of the story, building anticipation and excitement for what's to come.
I love that analogy. Now let's talk about one of the most valuable tools in our instructional design arsenal. That's the pilot test. The rubric dedicates an entire section to pilot test and feedback, highlighting its importance in creating a truly effective training.
Right, we talked about the value of feedback in part 1, but what specific criteria does the rubric look for in a stellar pilot test plan?
Well, first wants to see detailed criteria for selecting your pilot group. Remember, this group should be a representative sample of your target audience, ensuring you get feedback that reflects the real world.
So we might consider factors like job roles, experience levels, learning preferences, or even geographic location to ensure we are getting a diverse range of perspectives.
Exactly. The rubric also wants to see a comprehensive schedule for implementation, outlining a clear timeline for conducting the pilot test and gathering feedback. This shows you've thought through the logistics and are committed to making this a valuable learning experience for your pilot participants.
So we need to specify when we will recruit participants, when we will deliver the training, and when we'll collect feedback. It's like creating a mini project plan within our larger instructional design plan.
You've got it. And finally, the rubric emphasizes the need for a systematic approach to gathering and using feedback. We can't just collect a bunch of random comments and hope for the best. We need to have a structured process for analyzing that feedback and incorporating it into our final design.
Right, so we might use surveys to gather quantitative data, interviews to delve deeper into individual experiences, and focus groups to facilitate group discussions and identify common themes.
Then we synthesize all of that feedback into actionable insights that inform our visions.
You've nailed it. The rubric wants to see that you are not just collecting feedback for the sake of checking a box. You are using it to truly refine and improve your instructional design.
Wow, this rubric is like a treasure map, leading us toward instructional design excellence. We've uncovered so many valuable insights today, from the importance of audience analysis to the power of pilot testing, and we've seen how each element in the rubric builds upon the foundation we established with the template, creating a cohesive and comprehensive plan. It's like we're piecing together a puzzle, and each piece fits perfectly to create a beautiful, finished product.
Welcome back, fellow instructional design enthusiasts. We're in the final act of our rubric exploration, ready to uncover those hidden gems that can truly make your plan sparkle.
You know, it's in these finer details that we often see the difference between a good plan and a truly exceptional one. It's like adding those finishing touches to a masterpiece, the brushstrokes that bring the whole painting to life.
I love that analogy. So what hidden brushstrokes can we uncover in this rubric to make our instructional design plan truly stand out?
Let's revisit the introduction criterion for a moment. We've talked about grabbing the right attention by tailoring your message to your target audience, but the rubric also hints at something even more subtle: the tone and style of your writing.
Okay, so it's not just what we say, but how we say it.
Precisely. Imagine you're designing a training on workplace safety. If your target audience is a group of construction workers, your introduction might have a more direct, matter-of-fact tone, but if you're addressing a group of executives, you might adopt a more formal and strategic approach.
So it's about mirroring the language and style of our audience to create a sense of connection and relevance. It's like speaking their language literally.
Exactly. The rubric wants to see that you're not just delivering information, you're crafting an experience. That resonates with your learners on a deeper level. Now let's dig into the selection of instructional methods criterion. We've talked about justifying our choices and aligning them with our objectives, but the rubric also encourages us to think about the flow of our training experience.
Slow, like how smoothly we transition between different activities and modules.
Yes, and how we create a sense of coherence and momentum that keeps learners engaged and motivated. Imagine you're attending a training where you jump between a lecture, a group activity, and a solo reflection exercise without any clear connection. It would feel disjointed and confusing, right?
Definitely. Like a movie with choppy editing. It would totally pull me out of the story.
Exactly. The rubric wants to see that you've considered the learner's journey and created a seamless experience that guides them from one point to the next with intention and clarity.
So it's like we're choreographing a dance, making sure each step flows gracefully into the next.
I love that analogy. And remember those SMART objectives we talked about earlier? They can serve as our guideposts, ensuring we're always moving in the right direction. Now let's talk about an often overlooked aspect of technology integration: user experience.
User experience meaning how easy and enjoyable it is for learners to interact with the technology.
Precisely. The rubric wants to see that you've considered the usability of your chosen technologies and that you're providing learners with clear instructions and support.
So if we're using a complex simulation software, we might provide a tutorial video or a step-by-step guide to ensure learners don't get frustrated or lost.
Exactly. It's about removing those barriers to entry and creating a smooth and intuitive learning experience. Now let's revisit the content outline criterion. We've talked about creating a clear and detailed outline, but the rubric also hints at the importance of visual appeal.
Oh, so it's not just about the words, it's about how we present them visually.
Right. Imagine you're reading a textbook. That's just dense paragraphs of text. It would feel overwhelming and uninviting, right? But if that same information was presented with headings, bullet points, images, and white space, it would be much more digestible.
Right, it's like the difference between a plain wall and a beautifully decorated room. The content might be the same, but the presentation makes all the difference.
Exactly. The rubric wants to see that you've considered the visual layout of your materials and that you're creating a learning experience that's both informative and aesthetically pleasing. Now let's talk about that secret weapon, the pilot test. We've discussed the importance of gathering feedback, but the rubric also emphasizes the need for actionable insights.
Meaning, we can't just collect feedback for the sake of collecting it. We need to turn it into concrete improvements.
Precisely. The rubric wants to see that you're analyzing the feedback, identifying trends, and using those insights to make meaningful revisions to your plan.
Right, so if multiple pilot participants struggle with a particular activity, we wouldn't just ignore that feedback. We'd dig deeper to understand why they struggled, and then make adjustments accordingly.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating a commitment to continuous improvement and showing the evaluators that you're taking the feedback seriously. Well, fellow instructional design detectives, we've reached the end of our rubric exploration. We've uncovered hidden gems in the introduction. We discovered nuances in the selection of instructional methods and explored the deeper meaning behind technology integration, content outline, and pilot test and feedback.
It's like we've been on a treasure hunt, unearthing valuable insights that can elevate our instructional design plans, from good to truly exceptional.
Remember, the rubric is not just a checklist. It's a guide to excellence. By embracing its criteria and striving for that excellent level in every category, you're not just creating a plan. You're crafting a learning experience that's engaging, effective, and truly transformative.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into the Instructional Design Plan rubric. We hope you've gained valuable insights today and are feeling inspired to create instructional design plans that shine. Remember, you got this.